Yeah, it's been a challenging couple of months to convince her that I'm not actually doing anything stupid, Mom. Don't worry. We'll be spending a nice day with her.
How can you show her that movie and then still say that?
That's a good question.
Well, where were you tonight? What's going on, Friends of San Clemente?
Yeah, Friends of San Clemente had actually the honor. They just established a new sports center, and with that, inducting individuals to be recognized on the wall for their athletic accomplishments. So it was they're being recognized, and fortunately finished up in time to come down and hang out with my friends here. So thank you guys all for coming, partaking in such a wonderful evening.
Cool. All right, I'm sure you guys want to know all about him, so let's ask some questions. Who has a question for Greg?
First down.
Kyle, back in the back.
Biggest potential barrel in the world?
Biggest potential barrel in the world to paddle into? I would unquestionably answer that Jaws Pe'ahi, that we've come to realize the last couple of years. Nobody really truly explored potential of paddling it. It was just kind of deemed impossible, as so many of the waves that we've had been surfing years prior, they would get to a certain size, we just said it's impossible. Grab the rope, we're going to tow into it. But the more time that you spend doing anything in life, the more you learn about it. And we came to realize pretty quickly, once we really kind of got a group of us together who loved paddling in the big waves, that we hadn't truly found the limits of our potential out there. And it just came with spending more time in these lineups, learning more about them, further advancements in our equipment, advancements in forecasting technology, which allowed us to really surf these waves on a more regular, consistent basis. And then it's really the limits are only dictated by Mother Nature and presenting the conditions, and as in anything in life, your own personal desire, where we have such a special community of friends with the same mindset who just really want to, I guess, explore their own personal potentials as humans and as surfers. And so it obviously didn't happen overnight. Every single year, it's just been a slight elevation in the performance level and the size. And now we're realizing, I want to say, in all honesty, we're getting close, I think, to finding what we're truly capable of. But there's still some crazy guys in the group like Shane Doyne, who will probably never admit that it's getting to a point of being impossible. But so yeah, it's been a couple years in the working, and it's been a lot of fun.
I noticed there was a little clip where you were doing yoga. I was wondering how much of a role is that in your training and.
Yoga is, surfing was my first passion. Yoga would be my second passion in life. From a physical standpoint, it is probably the primary staple. There's a lot of cardio kind of exercise activities, breathing exercises, apnea exercise, in which I abstain from breathing while I'm putting my body through an exerting workout. But as far as all these activities, and I've explored a lot into the world of physical fitness, that is one. Just delving into the physical side of it, the strength, the flexibility, the balance, and the fact that it is a restorative activity, to where you're not so abusive on your body that you're walking away from it so worked and fatigued and sore for days, but you're actually enhancing I guess the overall mechanics of your body and restoring it. And then if you get into the whole, I guess, mental and spiritual side of it, there's a lot that goes on inside of your mind on a daily basis, and then especially when you wipe out on a wave like that, it's very easy to succumb to that kind of instinctive panic, or oh my gosh, I have to breathe. So the whole meditative side and spiritual, philosophical side has really helped me, not just surfing, but in my life every single day.
Quick questions. It seems to me at least that you guys are riding bigger, longer, thicker, wider, fuller boards. Is that true, or is that just a trend or something?
That's true for certain waves. obviously, as we're looking to paddle into bigger waves, that with that they're moving faster or just more challenging. That adds to it. There are certain places where my equipment hasn't really changed that much. Wave like Mavericks, for example, it breaks in the same place every single time. It's got that real intense pitching barrel. So a more sleeker, refined board is what I choose. I've always used and still to this day. But as we're trying to paddle bigger, more open ocean waves like Cortez Bank or Jaws, that you're going to naturally need a lot more volume. And every surfer out there is unique into their approach to how they want to ride it. You get guys who like sitting right there in the bowl underneath the lip, only turning around when they have that last second, taking 1 or 2 strokes. And then you get guys who like sitting out the back and waiting, having that forward paddle momentum, going with it already. So it's really unique to every surfer. But it is true. I would acknowledge that people are putting a little bit more volume, just in the sense that they're looking to ride bigger waves or find the biggest wave on any given day.
What about fins for dry or
Again, that's kind of condition dependent and the wave dependent. With the quads, I found any kind of bumpy sort of surface texture, it's not as beneficial. I mean, it's unquestionably, for me, the boards that I've ridden, they're faster off the mark, and when you're setting that straight line. But when you start to get into sort of any bumpy surface conditions, whether it's wind or kind of reverb from cliffs, they can be easily sort of redirected by any of those bumps. And sometimes lose control. That's still, with the thruster setup and a slightly larger back fin, that's how I ride my boards, the dry fin setups. It just adds a little bit of stability. You have that sort of anchor, the slightly larger back fin, which is helpful. Waves like Waimea that has all this kind of bump coming off the cliffs. Todos Santos that has all these surgy boils, and so yeah.
I think there's thousands of such beautiful things to watch. I actually saw them happen and on the big screen, and I was just like captivating me. So my question really is: are you mindful of your style and artistry of the wave when you're going down 30-foot pace, or are you just like more concentrated on trying to stay on that wave and the amount of athleticism that you have to have? Like, where's the artistry and athleticism?
I think in the beginning, people who are really looking to kind of develop, everyone will eventually develop their own style, but you do have those surfers that you look up to and are heavily influenced by, and you kind of take little pieces from all of them, but essentially it will, I think, fill into your own sort of style. I've always viewed big wave surfing as being very elemental, and that it's a matter of catching the wave. Riding it successfully. That I don't go out there looking to do dramatic turns or get so wild all over the face of it, but surf it in a way that you're almost surfing in harmony with it. And so with that, as little and subtle movements, just really kind of poised and balanced the entire time, and that's it for me. And really. And not just big wave riding, but in small waves, have always just enjoyed kind of the pure, aesthetics and clean lines and movements. And I guess in a way, admiring, those surfers, I guess found my own style sort of along that way.
What's your next thing? What are you looking for?
What's the next thing I'm looking for? That's a broad question, I guess. In general in life, I've never set any sort of true goals or ideas. I have to do this. I have to ride this way or accomplish this or win this contest. So much of it is, I guess my never-ending goal in life is to continue to better myself. As a surfer, obviously that being my first real passion in life, but just as a human in general, continue to learn and along the way, I guess, share that knowledge with other people and help them in their own pursuit in life, whatever it is. So especially in the last, I guess, kind of 6 months of my life. That when you kind of keep things, simpler, that it really opens up, a whole world and an opportunity to see and enjoy more. So, there's a broad answer for your broad question.
It's like a three-part question because you're so you're a world-class athlete. So you talked about yoga as one of your passions. So my first part of your question was there a specific style that you have found to be the most helpful to you as far as yoga goes? And then it showed you in the video swimming in the open ocean. Is that something you do consistently as part of your training routine? I was curious what the distance you try to maintain is to keep yourself at this level. And then the third part was you mentioned breath retention exercises. And I was curious if there's a certain amount of time you try to maintain that you can hold your breath for and how you would do and how you're doing that. Sorry for so many questions.
The first part, style of yoga, which I practice, which I found about 2 years ago now. Started practicing probably about 10 years regularly. 2 years ago, came across and really started delving into the world of Ashtanga yoga. A lot more, I guess, focus and emphasis on the breathing in conjunction with asanas, the postures, and then the Shala that I've been studying out really spends a lot of time looking into, I guess, the history and lineage of the practice itself, and then into the spiritual side of it, which is what I've really come to love about that. Second part was
Swimming.
swimming in the open ocean. Yes, as long as the water's warm, that I will take the open ocean any day over a chlorinated pool.
Okay.
And there's been no physical regimen that I adhere to. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. and I have to do this, I have to do that. But every day that you wake up is unique and special, and I just try and kind of follow, I guess, my intuition of I do incorporate, and I am pretty strict. I really enjoy getting out there and feel the need to preparation for this big wave pursuit to train and prepare. And at some point throughout the day, I make sure to set off a couple hours where I can really partake in that. So being in the ocean is a place that makes me happy. So anything that I can do physically out there that's going to be beneficial to the big wave surfing, I do partake. And then as far as the breathing exercises, again, there's no time in every single day where it says, I have to do this. This is written into my schedule. Some days I don't feel like doing anything at all. Others, I'll just say, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to work on it and push myself to the point of where I'm going to black out and go through those feelings and sensations, because that way I'll become familiar with them, and it won't be this scary, terrifying moment of, oh my God, what's my body going through? But I'll be able to recognize them. And then other days, just very clean, steady, inhales, exhales, working to expand the lungs. So it varies day to day.
Do you do any traditional pranayama techniques?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
After your experience at Cortez Bank, are there any waves or anything that you won't do going forward because of your experience?
Yeah, I think that was a real eye-opening. I don't want to say that there's any waves in particular. I mean, if you're getting it, am I going to go back out there and surf there? Yes, absolutely. That's one of the most magnificent surf spots in the world. The serious issue that really brought to light is the importance of the safety and preparation that we implement as our sport's progressing, and that's something that has really lacked, to meet the standard, which I've always felt was imperative. That was the first trip, in the film there, kind of went over, the dumbest surf trip I ever did was that when I went out there with just literally 2 jet skis and a boat and no safety equipment backup. That day at Cortez, I had 6 skis looking after 4 surfers, the team that I had assembled. And when I went down, I had 4 skis following me the entire time. And so that's the one thing that we're going to be very mindful and conscious of moving forward. And that's back to your original question: is there anywhere that I wouldn't surf or things that I wouldn't do? I've never except for maybe 1 or 2 times, felt like I've done anything beyond what I'm physically capable of handling and what I'm prepared for. And nothing is going to change in the future. And some days I don't feel like going out and really pushing it. And other days I feel confident that this is the day that I want to try and paddle in the biggest way of my life. And all that is taken into consideration every single session, and will continue to do so moving forward.
How old are you when you first realized that your life was going to be about riding the big waves? And was there one session, or was it a gradual realization?
It was a gradual growth into it. That my dad was a lifeguard, so I grew up on the beach doing all the junior lifeguard programs and just in the ocean from a very young age, so it felt extremely comfortable. And with anything in life, it's a natural progression. I grew up riding a boogie board, and went on to surfing. It was when I was 15 years old that I first had the opportunity to go down and surf Todos Santos, island off of Baja. And that was my first taste of what I guess would be considered a big wave, a bigger, heavier, deep water wave, and absolutely fell in love with it. And it was at that point, 15 years old, that was kind of my sole focus and dedication to continue to improve. And it wasn't, again, just something that I was 15 years old, all of a sudden, there I am, riding the biggest waves. But the term big is relative to everybody. For some it's 4 feet, some it's 15 feet, or some it's 60 feet. It doesn't really, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. It's when you're out there and you get that feeling that you're really challenging yourself and pushing yourself. That's all it is in life, and why I was so inspired then, and still every single session, I am. I can find fulfillment and enjoyment, and continuing to look to improve and better myself and learn from every single session and mistake and move forward. And big wave surfing is something I found that I fell in love with, and that's where my main life's focus has been for 15 years now. So it's led me to what you guys have, I guess, witnessed some highlights of the last recent years, and so yeah. In the back.
Okay, have you ever had concussion?
Yes, I have.
How long do your symptoms last for?
I don't know. I guess I'm probably still dealing with some of that. That's,
Do you suffer from like migraines every day?
no migraines. That's one. I guess there's different levels of them, and how I guess the head trauma was received. And that would be something I guess look into for someone more specific to that side of the medical practice. But all of the significant injuries and those which I knew that I suffered from the concussion, there's longest I kind of stayed out until I felt like I was better was about a month's time.
I saw that huge wave in Portugal. Have you looked into that spot at all, or have you surfed that spot?
I haven't been over there. Nazaré in Portugal. I haven't been there yet. Amazing wave. The way that it comes out of those submarine canyons and wedges into that giant peak. I've wanted to, and I've had a couple opportunities, but just based on everything's happening. It looks spectacular. What the guys are toning into and paddling into now, it's a real challenging one. It's not just one certain way in the same place every time, but kind of a shift in the beach break. So I'll definitely hope to make it over there in the coming years.
As far as shifting big waves, how do you feel about dungeons, or how do you feel about some of the other waves that are a bit more shifty when you're sitting in the lineup and the wave's like 30 feet wide and 30 feet out?
Yeah, there's some waves, big waves that aren't, that perfect, and it just makes the challenge that much greater. That there are waves like Mavericks where you can sit, literally the lineup the size of this room, know that the wave is going to be coming, within 15 feet of either direction. And then others that will move in and out and move laterally, sometimes by 50, even 100 yards. So it really forces you to I guess concentrate more and study the lineups even more and how to read them and use I guess the little bits of knowledge to your advantage. And then there's obviously the downside. When you get in a lineup like that, it's not a matter of if you get caught inside, but when. So it adds to the excitement and the challenge of it. That's for sure. Yes, absolutely. There's not a day that I don't, acknowledge how grateful I am to, grown up with such a beautiful resource. And over the years, I've involved myself in a number of different environmental organizations, who are, helping to protect and preserve that, for future generations to enjoy as I have, and we all have. In life in general, I again, am so blessed to met amazing people and travel to these beautiful places, and I think it's everyone's obligation and duty to share what you've learned, and you're fortunate with others to help them, inspire them or guide them in whatever way, and that's what a lot of people don't realize, that for me, I feel that I've been a byproduct kind of everybody that I've met and people that I've experienced, and how far your actions actually do transcend in that ability to inspire without even knowing it. And so as far as giving back, I guess as simple as sharing those stories or even just a smile with somebody on a daily basis, that's the easiest way of doing it, without going out and extending yourself in some heroic endeavor. But by all means, what we share and we partake in surf culture, it is truly special, and something that we, as you see, we're doing here, sharing, saving the history and the lineage, for the rest of the world to, enjoy, and so that especially goes into protecting and preserving the ocean and the environment.
This guy right here.
Sure?
Yes.
Hey.
You can go next.
Thank you.
So.
Hey, dig your circumstance. It's awesome. I grew up with Jerry Lopez, and he was one of the big wave riders in the 80s. And I always wanted to ride a wave with Jerry Lopez. And I got a chance one year here in Del Mar, and I got a nice hold down from him. One of the things that I got out of that was I sucked about 4 inches of foam out of it. One of my questions to you is, how much foam have you sucked? Because I see great footage. You ever consider?
So your question is,
You know what I'm
how
talking
much foam have you sucked? Next question. It's a part of it.
But you know the feeling.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not a pleasant one. Whenever you ask for your inhale water, and that, it's not a natural thing. So your body obviously rejects it and throws you into a mental, place that's hard to deal with. Yeah, definitely not fun.
So do you think? Because I haven't seen you wear a life jacket.
The flotation that I wear is actually a flotation suit underneath the wetsuits that I wear. When I'm tow surfing, have life jackets on, multiple of them, 2 of them at a time sometimes, and now we're into the world of inflatable wetsuits, which I wear every single session.
So earlier we were talking about style surfing, and you said there are folks that you pull, you admire, you look up to. Top 3, top 1, top 2 guys you look up to.
Tom Curran, unquestionably. Taylor Knox, Jerry Lopez. I guess those were 3 extreme influences. And in the big wave surfing, Larry Hamilton, Peter Mel, and Mike Parsons, who was also kind of an inspiration, mentor of mine, coming from San Antonio as well.
You get depressed when you don't have big waves, and how do you stay stoked on small surf?
Good question. There was a time when I was younger that, my emotions would absolutely be dictated by the conditions, and especially riding big waves. That it was one of these things that all this heightened excitement around these swells, and when it wouldn't come to fruition, the wave models were saying, I'd get bummed, oh man, I don't get to go ride big waves. But it became a valuable lesson to me early on that you can't let your happiness and emotions be dictated by materialistic things or things out of your control. that every day, waking up, there's an infinite number of opportunities and things that you can see and acknowledge and learn that you should be happy and content with, not if you're going to get to go surfing or if it's going to be big or not. And as far as maintaining inspiration, even on the smallest of days, it comes with approaching it with a simple mindset that I'm going out here and I'm looking to improve myself. So that this is what I have. I'm grateful for it. And hey, I am really shitty at doing errors. So today I'm going to take these crappy waves and try and improve in that side of it. So it really is your mind that is the only thing that you need to learn to control in order to be happy. Not the waves of the ocean.
First, I just want to say thanks. You've been super humble and answered a bunch of strange questions. We're inspired, actually. I appreciate your honesty.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Stop right there. We'd be good. Another question is, I love how you gave credit to guys surfing 4 feet and that big. Appreciate it. All 60 feet. Appreciate it. When you hit that panic spot in your head and you're having that conversation, what do you do to control your panic or panic in general?
What do you do to kind of control or maintain those thoughts when they're
When you're in it and spinning, how do you pull yourself out of it, or how do you not get there? How do you train?
It's, I guess for me, a form of meditation that you don't let your mind, you feel these things, but it's up to you, in your own mind to interpret them as, being something that, invoke fear or invoke, panic and it just comes with practice, anything, and especially, I guess, time as well and experiencing it, that if, you throw someone down there for the first time, it's going to be the most terrifying thing they've ever dealt with, but if you, do it, enough, like anything in life, you become more comfortable in depth, and especially practicing, or I guess just understanding, the physical sensations that you go through, knowing, what they are, what they mean, physiologically happening in your body, and then knowing, having, I guess the confidence of, that you've trained, you've prepared, what your physical abilities actually are, and you add all these things, and all it is, I guess, information coming to you, like, your body saying, okay, like, you need to breathe, or, everyone knows that, I guess, internal feeling of the convulsions when you're holding the breath, but, we all have physical limitations, don't get me wrong, but everything that, I guess, happens, mentally, it's up to you to interpret and dictate whether or not it's something that you need to be afraid of, or, that, you need to act in a certain way, so, it comes with experience and practice, I guess, and especially, when you're down there and knowing that, there's nothing that you can truly do until the wave's going to let you go and let you up and swim to the surface. So, by reacting in a negative way and panicking, you're only doing yourself a disservice. So, yeah, it is, I guess for me, a form of meditation of just simply acknowledging what's going on and not reacting to them and letting those thoughts and emotions go and just simply existing down there until it's time to make that move of swimming up to the surface.
Loved it. Thank you.
Do you have any specific sessions or individual performances that really stand out, or do they all kind of start to blend in when it's 40, 50?
There's definitely highlight moments and sessions throughout my big wave surfing career. If I were to pick a few of them, the one contest I got to surf in at Waimea Bay, the Eddie Aikau, that was a truly special moment. There have been a few standout sessions at Jaws over the last couple of years, where we really felt like we were, exploring, I guess, new boundaries in our sport. So I did a couple offhand. Rocky.
Hey, Greg. How you doing, brother? So at the Big Wave World Tour Awards, you signed a poster for my little boy, who's 8 years old, Caden, Kate Dizzle. And he is an awesome skier up in Tahoe. And he looked at me and he said, "This is so awesome. How do I become a big wave world, surfer?" So I ask you, how do I give an answer to my 8-year-old boy when he becomes a big wave surfer? Take your time, Greg.
If I were you, I would give him a
Well, he
stone.
wants a base jump either than that, so.
Okay, so you're out of luck either way.
What does it take to become a big wave surfer of your caliber, Greg?
Everything in life, it takes, dedication, whatever it is that you find in life, whether it's surfing or, another sporting activity of dedicating your time and attention to it and learning, the ins and outs of what you're doing, thoroughly, that, there are people, so many that you can learn from who've gone before you, I guess, have paved the way, and, asking questions and, finding, mentors. And I guess, diligently, studying into whatever it is, anything in life. Read books or, ask
You said about his
questions.
first time at Jaws, so.
Yeah, and, yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
So there you go. Yes, sir.
Was that duct tape on your sleeve? I'm wondering if you made other modifications, maybe to like your leash or other things you're thinking of. You wear earplugs now.
The duct tape on the sleeve that you saw, actually, when I wear wetsuit gloves, that I will fold my wetsuit sleeves down over the top and duct tape them. When you fall, it's really easy for the sleeves to get pushed up and the gloves to fill with water. And in which case you got the big clown balloon hands, and if you're trying to swim to the surface, you're shit out of luck. And so that's what that is for. But since then, every single year in session, I really go back and kind of dissect what it is that I learned and how I can improve. And over the last couple of years, made significant modifications to the leashes I've been using, to the flotation suits that we've been making, the inflatable wetsuits. So. I spoke earlier of the importance of the safety precautions that we're taking as we continue to elevate the level of our sport. There's not a day that goes by afterwards that I don't think of, okay, what can I work on to potentially improve on that aspect.
You mentioned you got a concussion. How did you get the concussion? How many have you done?
The concussion actually came from, there was a wipeout of me toe surfing, which I'm not that good at Jaws. It was, I think, the one towing wave where you see me going on the face, and I went over the handlebars at the bottom and got sucked up and over. That was one of the most intense and violent wipeouts. Just basically coming over with the lift and the impact on the water when I hit. And it was after that, I kind of went back and took 15, 20 minutes in the channel, and after kind of getting my nerve out there, okay, I'm going to go back out on the ride again. And then started vomiting, getting real lightheaded and dizzy, seeing stars about 45 minutes after, and at that point it was okay, time to take it easy.
How many slaps on the head since?
That significant to where it was easily distinguishable by myself as a concussion, and it's something I need to really acknowledge and take a break from. I haven't had any. Earlier in my younger years of surfing and playing sports and being dumb on the soccer field or whatever, banging my head. But in recent, that was about I think 5 years ago that happened. So nothing since then. That corner.
Congrats on the Big Wave World Tour Championship.
Thank you.
What is your ideal for the history of competitive big wave surfing?
Say again?
What is your ideal for the future of competitive big wave surfing?
For the future of big wave surfing, competitive big wave surfing. Competitive big wave surfing. Well, we've established a big wave world tour. It's been I think 4 years in the running. We've had competitions for quite a number of years. That the interest that our sport garners just stretches far beyond that of just the surfing community. It's something that's tangible and understandable by people who've never surfed before. Just and that it's lack of a better term, death defying, that they can relate to little human, big wave, dangerous, water, rocks, all the rest. So there's huge opportunity to grow our sport, well beyond just the surfing demographic as we know it. And it's a discipline which takes an extreme athleticism and understanding, as they all do. But that, I feel deserves, to be recognized on the same level of, the championship, world tour surfers. So we've been working, diligently to kind of get the support and, the community of big wave riders together to really, help make that movement and push forward. So every year we're seeing kind of new, potential ways, that we can establish these contests at, and the ones that, have been running, improving on a bit every year and learning from, past mistakes and running the contest or webcasts and everything. So in the future, I would love to see a full world tour of 10 contests and the top guys, having the financial means of actually, getting there without wasting, not wasting, but spending their savings account and, being able to make a living as a big wave surfer, because there aren't many who are fortunate enough to be doing so right now.
Have you ever given lessons in a surfing school? And if not, it is something that you are planning to do in the future?
Formal lessons in a formal surfing school? No, I have not. I've given countless lessons to friends and family and friends of friends who pass through town, but as far as an actual formal lesson in a school, I haven't. And right now, it's kind of an endeavor that I'm looking to market.
How do you feel about the invention of the wave jet?
The wave jet. I think that the wave jet is an amazing tool for those who might not otherwise be able to go surfing or experience what we do or have the physical means of catching waves. And even I'm not against any form of recreation in the ocean as long as you're doing it in a safe manner, which you're not putting other people in harm's way, not putting yourself in harm's way. So if you've got a great peak by yourself and want to go cruise around on your wave jet, go have fun. That's fine. If you're going to bring it into a lineup and be competing with other people, giving yourself an advantage, go faster or whatever, and might be asked by a number of people to go enjoy it somewhere else. So, by all means, whether it's stand-up paddling, boogie boarding, surfing, it's everyone's prerogative to enjoy the ocean however they want, as long as it's kind of in conjunction with what we feel is the standards of being safe and using the proper etiquette in the water.
So do you ride a wave jet?
Would I ride a wave jet? Right now, I feel like I'm in a pretty good physical condition, and I'm able to catch waves on my own power. And so, one day, I might dabble in floating around and putting around on one and having a laugh. But it's not something that's at the top of my list right now.
So when you're going from different places, is the water, can you tell the difference in the consistency of the water? When you're in California, can you feel the sunscreen?
As far as I guess the density or the different, what's that? Oh, the taste? Yeah. No, for sure. When you're going from the tropics to somewhere cold, you can definitely taste the difference in the salinity. And, the cold water waves like Mavericks has got a much heavier, denser feel than say the warm waters of Hawaii, and it is extremely distinguishable. And then obviously wetsuits that you have to wear in each place. I want to say it's probably more psychological than anything else, but that's also a huge part of the physical realm of what we experience and see as well.
Amongst your training, is there any specific diet that you eat or follow? And in preparation, when you're chasing a swell, can you sleep the night before? And do you eat in the morning of the swell, or are you just too amped up?
I do have a pretty specific diet that I adhere to. I don't eat meat, mostly raw fruits and vegetables as often as I can. Being able to sleep prior to a swell when I was younger, and it was just so new and exciting, and my mind was always going in anticipation of what's it going to be like, and it was the butterflies internally. I never used to be able to. Now, with so much time and experience, I kind of have an idea of what to expect with these different waves, and I am able to sleep. Leading up to it, there's a lot that goes into it. Physical preparation, getting boats and skis and all your equipment, sitting on flights for sometimes days prior to swell. So maintaining, I guess, your health and well-being prior to that is of the most important. One thing everyone always complains about when out there surfing is getting cramps after surfing for 2 hours, whatever. Where sometimes you'll be out for 12 hours, and it's just simple as staying properly hydrated and eating a nice nutritional balanced diet, not stuffing your gut full of potatoes and eggs right before you paddle out, but keep it light and nutritious. We're actually getting the maximum benefit from what you're putting into your body.
You talk a lot about the preparation you do physically and the attention that you put into safety. I'm wondering, how often is it that you have to put any of that into effect? How often do you go down on a good session?
There was obviously been a lot of dialogue as to the safety preparation that goes into it, and we've spoken there. A lot of things are put into motion or start working on well before these swells ever happen. Sometimes weeks, months. Every session, you pretty much have to count on falling at least once. Sometimes you don't, but I go out there every single time now with the idea in my mind that it's possible that something could go seriously wrong. That you can control these variables, but when you're out there in the ocean, especially when there's this much energy in water moving, that so much can happen and go wrong so fast. Like I think that you're never going to need it, but there's the famous saying, I think it was Roger Erickson said once said that everything's okay until it's not. And in that moment, you better hope that you have everything in place. Using myself as a prime example, that what happened this last December at Cortez, I wasn't thinking that in all this medical equipment, having that many skis and such a diligent safety net in place, that I was going to be the one that was going to be my ass being pulled out of the water and my life being saved. But like I said, there's a lot that you can't control in life. And in that case, I was very grateful that I put in the time and effort and had the right people there to be there when I needed them. Over the course of the years, I formed my MCLs. High five on that one. About 4 times I've done it. ACL once, a lot of stitches, broken ankles, no surgeries. Thankfully, no. So, that frightens me. But no, I've been extremely fortunate, and a huge part of that I attribute to the physical preparation, the training, and a lot to the yoga, the flexibility that I have, and I'm able to sustain a lot of the wipeouts that I take. Favorite wave at the moment, I would have to say would be Jaws. That's really a new frontier for us, and just the way the wave breaks, it lends itself to getting the biggest barrel we could ever paddle into, as the gentleman back asked earlier. So every time that one comes, and it is, it's in my opinion, the most challenging of them all right now, the way that it does break. There's a lot of enemies working against you. You could go down a tremendous list, but mentally when you're out there, it takes a lot to convince yourself that it's actually possible. That every wave that you're essentially paddling into, just the way that it's kind of coming out of the channel, pushing at you, you've got the wings, a lot to kind of trick you into thinking that you can't do it. So making that commitment to it is kind of a whole new world of pushing yourself mentally that I haven't experienced yet. So that's what I really look forward to.
What's happened to a lot of your big wave predecessors like Larry Hamilton and
Ken Bradshaw, he was there in Hamilton years, the guy who really sort of, made Jaws known to everybody. You don't hear much about him lately, so you know what's happened to those guys?
Yeah, Laird has been living on Kauai with his family. He's obviously a significant catalyst for the whole SUP movement, and I know he's still really deeply immersed in that world as well. Still probably one of the fittest, most tremendous athletes in our sport. I've talked to him, I've actually become good friends for over the years, that he simply says that he can't battle with the crowds at Jaws on a regular day. And so he kind of saves his days and his towing sessions for those, where it is kind of that next level at the far extreme end of how big it gets. And in all honesty, we haven't seen one of those swells in about 6 or 7 years, which is kind of why his name's been absent from it. Ken Bradshaw, he's still surfing every single day on the North Shore of Oahu. But a lot of people get to a point where, whether it's physically they can't, don't feel like they want to keep doing it, or just their priorities in life change. I think anything that you do for so long, you almost kind of have to be reinventing yourself to maintain that inspiration. For some people, and big wave surfing, I think, would be one of them. If you get to a point where it's like, all right, you've done it for 15, 20 years, now it's time to do something different. And a lot of people as well, as they get into their older years, starting families, and just priorities change. So, anyone else? Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Greg. Amazing. Greg is a badass. Thank you, Zach, for the leadership for making this happen as well. Appreciate it, Greg. All right, everyone, we're going to go watch Tom Curran play some music just down the street. We're all walking there. Everybody's streaking. But tomorrow we have a shaping demo at 11 in the morning. Kids dig it, so if you want to know anyone who's into shaping, or bring them on down. Start at 11 a.m.